Hello and welcome to Meet Your Inspiration podcast with Mary and Rich. Today we are again at Hampstead House where we are recording the next interesting episode where we're going to talk about marketing, determination and success. Our guest is Dawn Robinson with lots of years experience in marketing, and we are looking forward to hear about her career, about the tips for success, and to hear a little bit more about marketing. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Morning. How is life going with you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Really good. So this year I launched Out of Hours Marketing, which is me being freelance marketer for small business entrepreneurs, business owners in general, and to give them advice and help them along the way without being contracted. And they can also come to me outside of their normal working hours, which means I'm a bit more accessible. So yeah, so all good.
Excellent. Dawn, how did it all start? How did you get into marketing? What gave you the drive to go that way?
I would love to say that I always wanted to be in marketing, but I didn't. I literally left school at 16. University I didn't feel was an option. It wasn't something that I felt was readily available, not pushed as it is now. So I went to a business admin apprenticeship, and I had an interview for Bose, the consumer electronics company. And again, I'd like to say that I smashed that interview, but I didn't. I think there was me and a young lad, and they decided they had a boy last time, so they'll take me on. So that's kind of how that worked.
Well, that was good. That's what you need.
It was absolute fluke. So I started there doing my business administration NVQ, just doing general admin bits and pieces. But I worked with, at the time, telemarketing manager. So what happened was, within that year, I finished the course. I said, I'm going to be leaving because I'm finished. And the general manager said, we'd like to keep you on. And we're giving David, who was my boss, a promotion to marketing manager. Would you like to still work alongside him? So I said yes.
And was that for the whole of the UK or was that Europe?
That was for the UK. And then basically within that, I worked up from being a marketing assistant, coordinator, then retail marketing specialist for Bose in terms of Europe and the UK. Lots of travel involved. And then I moved on from there because I wanted to become a marketing manager and the option wasn't there for me at the time. So, yeah, I've basically worked my way up.
This sounds like a great start.
Yeah.
Because very often whoever listen our first few episodes, we talk about that. Is it very important? Whoever listened our first few episodes, they know that we did speak about that, how important is education in terms of university.
Yeah.
Because some people, I'm coming from Bulgaria, and back there, people are very determined, at least it was years ago, you have to go. Without going to university, it's like you're not going to be successful. Once I came here, I realized that people are doing a lot of apprenticeship courses.
Yeah.
And it's not always that way. Of course, there are some professions that you need to go to university. But your story is, again, another great example that you just go and start when you're not sure where you want to go.
Yeah.
Or you can't afford, let's say, because universities are quite expensive. And you find the way that, or the job that you want to do.
Exactly.
And how easily, once you are in the job, you are getting that passion, what you like. And obviously you had that opportunity to grow there, to learn a lot.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what happened.
That was a great start for you, I believe, after that for your...
It really was.
future.
And I had a really good mentor with my boss, David. He was very inspirational to me because he was very ambitious. So he started again at Bose and he worked his way up to that position that he wanted. He then moved on and did more and more. I actually did go and work with him again at another place, at a golf club, doing sales and marketing. So he was kind of an inspiration to me because I wanted that. I wanted to achieve that. And I have always wanted to learn. But like you say, university wasn't a path that I thought was an option for me. I don't want to say that I didn't need it because my son's at university. So I
No, I think it's different for the people.
I worked alongside him. I learned a lot. I learned, like you said, what I liked, what I didn't like, where I wanted to be, where I wanted to progress. And I did various courses and things along the way. I did do my marketing degree, but I did it 5 years ago. I did it on an open university, and I did it just to prove to myself that I could. And that was it. But
Did that give you more?
It.
Did that give you some additional skills, or was it more just learning ways of learning?
More on
different?
paper,
Yeah,
probably,
it was more theory based, obviously, and there's a lot of that theory that you do use, but you don't realise that you're using. Because it just becomes a natural part of your day-to-day work. There's also some of it that you really don't use on a day-to-day basis. I think for me, I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. I also, where you've said about university and where the children now have to stay at school until they're 18 or education till they're 18, I think it's not always like that. You know, the path isn't always, you know, it's do your GCSEs, do your A-levels, get a degree or get an apprenticeship. And I kind of wanted to say to my son, you can do what you want to do when you want to do it, when you're ready. Because I think there's so much pressure put on children now, you know, with these GCSEs. You know, I was saying to him, if they don't go your way, you can resit. This isn't the end of your world. You know, you look again and you know, you reevaluate and you go again.
Not everybody are ready what they want to do
No.
or how to do it. And most of the time, I think it's changing the perspective after a few years. And you're like, oh, it's not.
And it depends
exactly
on your
what I
drive
want.
as well, isn't it? I mean, your drive is so important. If you've got a drive and you want to do something, once you decided I mean, obviously the opportunity to work with Bose, and Bose is very much an aspirational brand, and obviously sort of, you know, sort of like the headphones and the sound systems and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, in our day as well, like, every club you went into, they always had Bose speakers up in the roof, and they were all small, and everyone had these little tiny Bose speakers that sit in their lounge, and everyone was going, "Wow, how does all that sound come from these little tiny things?" Because it was just a miracle in its day, wasn't it?
The way they did that, the way they did the big reveal kind of thing. Okay, that big sound is coming from these small speakers was very clever.
Yeah,
it was very good, and it was very easy to market.
But I mean, but again, it was marketing genius, because you looked at it thinking, wow, and I still remember, like, and in magazines, Bose were in all the magazines, that, you know, everything, because it was such an aspirational brand. And even if you were flying somewhere, it was often an advert in the in the magazines, in-flight magazines and stuff. You know, it was literally everywhere. So obviously, you guys were obviously really knocking out and doing a great job.
Yeah, it was a really, really good time. A real big part of my life. You know, traveling around.
To learn. Well, because once you are in the team and you're actually given the opportunity to do the work, I think it's the best way to experience.
The other thing that was good about it was traveling to different places in Europe and learning about best practice there. So we'd meet their teams and we'd collaborate and we'd work out what was important for one person, maybe wasn't important in another country. And I think it was having that knowledge and understanding that really pushed things forward.
Back then?
I started at Bose when I was 16. I worked there for 7 years. I was going to be saying how old I am now.
I mean,
I then left for 7 years, and I went back and did another 7 years at Bose.
Wow. I'm asking because obviously this opportunity to work next to people like your boss, David, manager back then, obviously, and having the opportunity to travel around, meet all these people on that age, I think it definitely influenced your future. It definitely
did. I mean, there were parts of me when I was younger where, I don't know, I'd go somewhere with my partner and I'd go, oh, I'm not staying here, because I was used to staying in really nice places. So I did get a little bit above my station at one point. But yeah, it was a really lovely experience for me. Really good. So I was, like you said earlier, you know, we'll call that luck, me getting into that. Yes. It really was fortunate for me.
Just, fate. The word fate. Yes, it might be just fate.
But you take it, and that's the thing. You have to take that opportunity and you have to use the opportunity, and then it gives you the level.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than having a great company as on your CV. So when you go to the next one, who did you work for? I worked for Bose. Oh wow, you know, and it gives you the door
when
opening.
I left Bose, I went to Kef, who's a competitor of Bose.
Absolutely, yeah. Their speaker systems as well.
Yeah, so I went there and I did a little stint there. That was good, and like you said, having Bose, you know, on my CV,
open.
there was a write up about me going to KEF saying that I'd come from Bose, because obviously everyone from Bose knew me, and they worked with the same shops, the same retailers. So that was an interesting time. But I left on good terms with Bose. That was the first time I left. Like I say, then I did other things because I wanted to progress. I wanted to be a manager. I wanted to look after people. And so I did that, and then I went back to Bose. They needed somebody, and they actually said, I was in contact with the finance director at the time, and he phoned me up and he said, there's been a conversation, and we said, we need someone like you back. He said, and I know you're temping at the moment. I was temping in London. He said, would you want to come in for an interview? So I said, yeah, of course. And I remember leaving the interview and saying to my husband, I better get that job, because that's my job.
Yeah, that's
like, I
the one
know
you
this.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went back and did another 7 years with them.
Fantastic.
And then, before moving on. I thought I would stay there forever, to be honest.
Yeah, but sometimes life is changing. You are changing,
Absolutely.
developing, and how we spoke.
I
You
had-
want to grow and to do more.
And I had my son, and he was, I think he was about 8 or 9 when I left. And I was still doing the travel. And I think one day he was kicking a softball in the living room. It was a Saturday, and I had the laptop open, and it knocked the laptop, and I told him off. And then I thought, hold on a minute, it's Saturday. Why am I can't sit here and do this. And I said to my husband, I'm going to leave. And he said, you've said that for a while. And I said, no, something has clicked.
now.
It's now. I should be in the park with him, playing football, giving him the time.
Because that's quality time that you never get back.
Yeah. So I almost feel like I've done things the wrong way around, because now I've got more time to give. He's away. He doesn't need my time.
Yes, but this is how life is going sometimes.
Yeah.
Me, as a mother of a younger boy as well, I would say I struggle with that, because I was far too. I always wanted to work and to develop and to do more and more. So I wasn't from the ones to stay at home, where sometimes I regret that probably I needed to have a bit more balance in that.
Yeah.
But I would say that 9-10 years ago, it wasn't that easy to find a work that you can have flexibility. Now it's getting better, and I'm sure that for the next years it's going to even get better. But we are changing as well.
Yeah.
You know that you can do something better and more. You've got the experience behind your back.
Yeah.
So
do you know what? I hadn't thought about it like that in terms of the way the world is changing, because you're right, there wasn't that kind of opportunity. When
it was much
when my son was
difficult.
young.
Probably they were, but not like nowadays. Where
you didn't know.
No.
Whereas now everybody knows their kind of rights and what you can do, and and that flexibility is
I think the
is there a little
opportunities
bit
now,
more.
isn't it, for like, particularly once you've got the level of experience that you've got now, you can help so many other companies, and people are often looking for, even in marketing, they want like a short-term burst. So they're going like, well, let's focus. We'll have a new marketing strategy. We'll use this person here. They can help us, and you build up a project with them. And at the same time, you might be working on something with somebody else, and you can be at different stages. Whereas if you've got, and the other thing is what tends to happen, I guess, with a marketing team, if you've got one person or one small group, they've got ideas, they put those ideas in, and they keep developing from those ideas. But I guess it's a bit like art, isn't it? You've got to be constantly creating when you're in marketing.
Yes. I think that one of the parts of my job that I really like is marketing audits. So I can go into a company, and I've done this throughout my career, which is when I realised, hold on a minute, this is just what I do naturally. And I have a look and just, look at what they're doing, what works, what doesn't work, why they're doing what they're doing, what their actual goal is that achieving said goal? And we've been in companies where, someone said, oh, we want to do some paid advertising. And I've said, you're not ready for paid advertising. So actually don't waste that money because your organic search isn't there. Let's work on that first, and then you'll be ready, for the next stage. So I think it's about kind of putting those things in a priority order, making sure they're not just, it's very easy, isn't it, on your day-to-day to go, well, we do that, that's what we do, that's what we do, that's what we do. But actually things are changing, things change in marketing all the time, which is why I'm constantly trying to keep up with the learning. Things like LinkedIn, there was a time when everyone had put huge amounts of hashtags in, whereas now they like it only if it's about 5. So it's those kind of things, I think, those little things as well, that knowledge is there to help those companies.
Marketing sounds for me very competitive place, because you've got, first of all, these changes almost day to day.
Yeah.
Me and Richard, we are in obviously I wouldn't say marketing, but since we started this project, because it's quite small at the moment and we are doing most of the things on our own.
And you need a following, and the only way to build a following is by marketing.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that what we learned for the last 5 months, it's a lot. It changed my personal perspective a lot about marketing, because I was always thinking, what is all this fuss about social
Pretty
media
pictures,
manager or whatever? Yeah, what they all talking about. And yes, the efforts that you need to do even one video or little short reel, or even a nice post if you want, or let's not go in deeps about all these SEO,
SEO,
yes, and things that we don't know, but it does a lot of knowledge.
There's lots of elements
time,
there that need to tie in.
And it is very competitive.
Yes.
So how is surviving in this competitive area? How there is work for everybody? Because I can see there is, and I can see that people are more and more looking for that.
Yeah.
They need. So even some media agencies, I would say, sometimes they're like, oh, we can't, because we've got few customers and we can't cope with them, so we can't take new customers, I would say. So how is working?
I think there's always work. So when I look at so competitors for me, for example, I don't look at it, some people will look at it and say, oh, there's too many out there, so I can't do that. Well, if there's so many out there, that means there's so many people that need it. So I kind of try and look at it from a more positive perspective. And there are also people, I'm working with somebody at the moment who said to me they've had a host of other marketing people throughout the years, and really nice for me, said, you're the first person we've had that's really listened to us, tried to understand our business. So it's like that you need to be almost a perfect match for somebody.
Okay.
So just because there's so many people out there
doesn't make that it's okay.
So I feel like for me, I would just go in. I mean, it's somebody's choice to work with me, and I think they need to like me and know that I'm knowledgeable and know what I'm doing. But equally, I need to like them. And if it's a business or something that I wouldn't be keen on or want to support, then equally I wouldn't work with that person either. So I think that there is enough to go around, certainly, and there's people out there who are struggling, those smaller companies, those startups, business owners who haven't got the time to do it and just need a little bit of advice. So, they haven't got the budget to have somebody in-house all the time. But like you said about those, those smaller projects on a project basis, I think that's where I can come in and be helpful. So you could, at the moment, I'm looking at doing a calendar on LinkedIn where people can just book an hour with me. So like a Zoom call for an hour. So you can ask me anything you want to in that hour and I will help you.
Yeah.
And then you can go away and then you can either, pick up the phone to me again one day or not, as you choose. So
and having someone with that level of experience available to you at short notice,
yes,
and where you can make an appointment is just the best, because like otherwise you feel as if you've got to, otherwise it's contacting some huge organization and you're thinking like, well, they won't even want to deal with me because I'm too small.
Because I'm too small and I've only got this one question. I mean, I helped a lady who was setting up her own cosmetic business, and she just said to me, I met her by chance, and she said to me, I don't know how to set up Instagram. And I said, well, I can help you with that, and I can help you with your booking system. So that's all I really did for her. But that was a big thing that she needed. And then she didn't, I showed her how to use it, what to do, and then she didn't need me anymore. So every now and again I'll get an odd question from her, and that's fine. But I feel like, great, you've got what you needed without having to, interview a person, pay them a full-time salary because she's not really sure where she wants to go next. There wouldn't be that work there.
How do you think, is the marketing departments in companies, are they coming to, because I think I start to see more and more companies don't have departments based in companies. They start to use a bit more.
Yeah.
How you think, is that coming to an end, or it's gonna be?
I don't know. I do
always 50-50.
I still rate an in-house marketing company because you know your business. But I also think it's quite good to have someone like me come in with some, a fresh set of ideas, looking at things and saying, okay, that maybe doesn't work anymore. So, and maybe encouraging and empowering that team to come up with some more things, because it is quite difficult to be with a company for a number of years and think up new ideas all of the time. And you've got to be posting on your socials, let's say at least 3 times a week. So that's a lot of posts.
Yes.
And that's a lot of years, and that's a lot of ideas. So sometimes I think you just need somebody to come in
with fresh,
and also because I've worked for lots of a variety of businesses throughout my years, I think that you can take elements of that and you can make it work for another business. So I think that that's really good. But yeah, there are a lot more, I think, freelancers, but I also think that's just to do with the flexibility on both sides, really.
Well, I do think that works better because obviously once you've had a particular type of campaign, it almost needs to change quite dramatically to stand out.
Yes.
Otherwise, like it's a bit like, I suppose, like with L'Oreal. I mean, it's a good example. I mean, they use that slogan, because I'm worth it, for so long. Yeah, and you knew as soon as you saw this particular personality doing their thing and looking all cool, and then at the end of it, it's because I'm worth it, and you knew it. It was like a Mars again. And, but they had a great slogan, and sometimes once you pick that slogan, and then that works, and then that can stay with a brand for so long, and it's the brand is built on that, almost that one tagline.
Yeah.
But for a lot of other brands, it's not the same. It's always varying, and you need that extra creativity because
absolutely,
it's something different.
You kind of need. I think you need consistency in terms of showing it's your brand, so that you're recognised, so it's not so different. But then you also need to be creative, so that you're not scrolling through social thinking, "Oh, I've seen it."
Yeah.
And I think that's sometimes a tricky balance for people.
It is. I was always on the other side, obviously looking, and I always think, oh, that's nice. Once you're on the side of a consumer, you think everything looks quite easy. But once you sit on the other side and you need to start producing this content and to write, then it's coming the hard part.
And I think when you're doing freelance work as well, I'm trying to be investing in lots of different companies. So again, it's that learning. It's learning about that company you're working with. It's looking at their competitors. It's looking what other people are doing. It's reading a bit more, being a bit more knowledgeable about it to enable you to come up with those ideas. And I think that's sometimes difficult when you're in the business, because sometimes when you're in the business, you think, oh, that's not very important, but actually it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Obviously, we did a few times mention about learning. You don't stop learning. I can see that on your LinkedIn as well. You keep getting certificates.
My friend said that I'm exhausting because because I do like to learn. So I am trying to become chartered. So I'm in my first year of chartered marketing. So I've submitted that. So that is a year's worth of continuous learning that you need to submit. Then next year I'll submit the next one. Then there'll be a little test at the end, and then hopefully I'll become a chartered marketer. So that's my next goal. I also am doing courses on mindset and a counselling and psychology course I'm doing as an open learning.
What's on mindset? Just explain about mindset.
Mindset is basically actually I think what you guys are all about. Taking away that kind of imposter syndrome, having a positive outlook on things of what you can achieve, taking away that sort of negativity, because I think we're all a bit down. Even when I started what I've started, I thought, why do people want to listen to me? Because obviously when you've got a company behind you, that almost validates you, doesn't it? Oh, this is our head of marketing, Dawn, she's great. Thank you very much. But when you're working for yourself and you're trying to get business yourself, you're thinking, oh no, can I do this? Have I really got the experience? Can I And of course you have, because it's there.
Absolutely.
But you doubt yourself. You doubt yourself. And I think it is about backing yourself and just having that more positive mindset. So I was always a bit feisty in my 20s. So I'm trying to be a calmer person, not blow up for small things, just see the positive sides of things. So I'm going a bit crazy. I'm walking around my house going, oh no, this is wrong. But at least I've got a house to live in. At least, I'm trying to focus on those small
It's a
things
very
that we
difficult
take for
balance,
granted.
isn't it? It's a very difficult balance in terms of a mindset, because obviously as an individual, particularly when you're working yourself and you're having to push yourself, you want to show your experience. You want to be able to show that you can help people through, but at the same time you have to sort of be humble at the
Yes.
same time. And it's a very difficult balance between the humility of what you're able to do and over pushing how good you feel you are, so
Yeah.
you can sell yourself to the client.
And
And it's a
that's
very
hard.
difficult balance.
What I've tried to do, because I have struggled with that. Like when you go into an appraisal normally, oh, Dawn, what's your best achievement? I think, I don't know, I've just been doing my job. And I don't want to go, oh, actually, I did this, and this, big head. So what I've been doing when I meet people is, obviously we have a chat about their business, what their objectives are, what they actually want me to do. I've always say, do you want me to help you to do it yourself, or do you want me to run it for you? And then I've done a bit of research. I normally give a little bit of advice, this on your website isn't quite working. Do you know that you're using too many hashtags, or whatever. Just some little snippets which I feel makes them know that I'm knowledgeable, without me saying, look, I'm going to change your world. Because also marketing is it can be a slow burn. I always say, give me 3 months to get those figures up. So I think that understanding needs to be there as well. But that is a tricky one. So I'm trying to just be a more positive person. I try to encourage people that I work with as well. So being a team leader for many years, I want to kind of exactly what you're trying to do, empower people, encourage them to, that they can do these things. That they've got a real good skill set, because everyone I've ever worked with has been so good at what they do, but they've never really believed that they are.
It's very hard to change that mindset and so on, and to lift them, and just to give them those levels of encouragement, because it's as we were talking the other day with Ria. I mean, like she was talking about the ladder of influence, and the fact that we have to take one step at a time, and we have to get to that step. And once we get to that step, then we move up to the next step. And it's so important to follow that pathway, and to use each opportunity, because the more we can lift the people around us, because at the end of the day, we're finite as people, and obviously, we want to leave a legacy of people to help people to grow, and how we can encourage people and build people up is such an important thing, because our skill sets are obviously built over 30 years of experience. So once you've got that level of experience, you've got to help others on their journey.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've worked with people, especially when I was younger, very male dominated industry when I was younger. But I worked with people who wouldn't show me how to do things, because they felt like if they showed me, then they didn't, they weren't needed. Whereas I think I've gone completely the opposite way. So if you want to know how to do something, of course I'll show you that, because that helps you as a person anyway, because, oh, actually, if I'm not here, they can do that. That then helps them, pushes them on. It gives them another string to their bow. I always think, just share the wealth.
Absolutely.
If you know something, if you've got some knowledge.
But it is how you said. I think lots of people still believe, and they're still following this. If they share, or if they talk about it, someone else will come and take their job. Or nobody can take. And how we talked earlier as well about being unique and authentic. These are the things that nobody can take from you. You can just help someone, and I'm sure one day someone will remember, oh, don't help me or don't show me the way, because how we are remembering now the people who influence our lives. Talking about that, and obviously you mentioned your manager, David. Is there anyone else who played quite important role during your career or even in your private life, like
I think
a role model or mentor?
I mean, definitely my mum, because she is a very strong woman, but growing up, she was a super strong woman. And I think that she kind of taught me to have that strength as well, and to believe in myself. You can do anything. You can do anything you want to do. It was always very much, put the work in, and you can achieve it. I probably took that maybe a bit too far, because I just always wanted the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next. Nothing was good enough. And I think now with this sort of mindset, new attitude, I'm actually finally at a stage where I feel happy and content. I'm doing these things because I want to do them, not because I want to try and impress someone or that kind of thing. But she's definitely a role model for me. And then obviously when I had my son, who's now 19, he was the sort of inspiration for driving me, because I wanted to show him a nice life. I wanted to be able to travel with him and things. So whilst I say I've got it the wrong way round, because now I'm, I've got some time. He did, because of my work and obviously my husband's, he did get to experience some lovely holidays, some quality time with us. And I hopefully have been able to show him that you can achieve what you want to achieve at the right time. And, I am one for education. I am one for learning, but I also I don't like the pressure that's put on people.
Take it on your time, whenever you're ready.
Exactly.
The path that you feel it's for you.
And I think also my brother, I always talk about my brother because he didn't do very well at school, but he is one of the most clever people I have ever met. If you went to a pub quiz, he'd know everything. He'd be great. But school just wasn't for him. It wasn't, his path. He didn't enjoy it. And, he's doing really well for himself. So there is that, I think, with the learning, with the university and all of those things, I think it just depends on you as a person and where you are in your life at that time.
We know quite famous examples of people who didn't do well at school. Or it
Mr.
was
Branson,
Mr. Branson. For me, he's absolutely great example for years that, how everybody were talking about his dyslexic side and etc. But he showed the world that
sometimes you can just be clever just by explaining things and sharing things. You don't necessarily have to be academic, but it's having that passion and that drive and pushing it forward.
And I think too much is placed on the academic side of things, because there's not enough of the other. And like you've quite rightly said, people will talk to you and they will inspire you. They've got knowledge about things. They're interesting. You meet somebody who's really interesting to speak to, and it gives you a new perspective. It gives you some ideas.
This is why I adore this project, because I was always a person who loved to learn about people, to learn about their journeys and to learn from them. And once we start, this is just like a dream world, because every single time, even I had the opportunity to work with you on the same workplace, but we didn't have the chance. Today I'm learning much more about you and what you're doing, because we didn't have these moments to go and speak or spend the time together. But it's incredible how this is why we're saying that every story matters, and everybody got a great story to share and to empower and to influence someone who's listening.
And every time we talk to, every single guest we've spoken to, and all the time, and all of us, when we're talking to people, we're all learning. Every time you have a conversation, and as long as we make the time to listen, which is obviously important, as you said, like when you meet a client, I mean, the most important thing is to gather the information about that particular client so you understand their needs. And as we listen and talk to each other, we learn all the time from each other, and it's such a powerful tool for everybody.
Definitely, because you sort of have an expectation, don't you? So I probably, when we worked together, I started, and you might think, oh, this is new head of marketing, so you might assume that I went to university and I've done different things, but so you have those assumptions of people. I think everyone naturally does, but like you say, when you actually speak to them, people, I think that's sort of an important thing about leadership as well, is that you need to understand your team and what they're going through. If you know that someone's got a 2-year-old at home, they're probably going to be a bit tired when they're coming into work. They might need a coffee. It's those kind of things as well that I think help you communicate and help you sort of empower a team, just being a bit more present instead of, okay, we're at work today, XXX needs to be done. Yeah.
What will be the advice that you would give to your younger self from today's point of view, if you have the chance? What's going to be?
I think just not to be so hard on myself. I don't feel like, not until now have I felt that I've actually achieved anything. I always felt like that wasn't enough. So I did my NVQ, I did some typing courses, I did some other courses. Not enough. I worked up, like I said, from a marketing assistant, got to a head of marketing, not enough. I don't know why. Just I think a drive in me was just always next. And I've got to be doing something. Whereas I just think, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. Enjoy the time because it does go so quick. And I hate it when people say that, but it really does.
It
does. It flies by.
But I'm pretty sure you have, and we will definitely say if you turn back, you achieve quite a lot. And you need to praise yourself because you did. What you gonna say that it's your biggest success so far? Because I'm sure more will come so far.
My biggest success
Is
so
there
far.
anything that
I think for me, personally, obviously my son and the young man he's grown into, I'm very proud of him. And obviously I had a huge part in that.
of course.
But I think for me, I think my proudest moment was when I graduated. So that was in 2019. I had the full cap and gown. Freddie was 14 then. My mum came. My husband was there. And I think it's the first time I really felt proud of myself. And I'm not embarrassed to say I was proud of myself.
No, you need to,
And that's when I felt like I had achieved something. And because maybe it's as well because I did it for myself. I didn't do it to prove to anybody else.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's maybe what the career progression was as well. Because it was very male dominated at the start, I had to kind of push through, and I had some sort of tough times in the start. Whereas getting that degree, it was tough, but worth it. Yeah, I did it, and I did it for me.
You said twice about male dominated.
Oh.
I can't believe in my head marketing is always
Not necessarily
amazing, wonderful.
sunshine and flowers.
Women, honestly, I don't
know. I think
know.
it was mainly the industries that I worked in. So obviously I worked in consumer electronics. I worked for a company, a really good company actually, that was a hi-fi retail shop. And I worked for them. But when I started there, it was very much, it was installers, and I had to look after the installers and basically make sure they were doing all the jobs and getting the money in. So the snagging the installers didn't want to do, and I had to kind of get that done to push the money through. And for 6 months, they wouldn't speak to me, and it was awful. And I'd go home and I'd be really upset. But then I'd come back in and my husband said, just leave. And I was like, I'm not leaving. I will not leave. They're not pushing me out. I will leave when I decide to leave. And then one day after 6 months had gone by, one of the lads came up to my office and he knocked on the door and he said, Dawn, we're going to go to the pub after work if you'd like to come. And I went, oh, thanks, maybe, yeah. And then I thought, yes, I'm in. But it was kind of examples like that throughout my career. It was always male dominated.
Feeling as if you've got to prove yourself in that situation.
And I think as well, at Bose, because I was young, I really wanted to prove myself. So that was kind of difficult at times. Well, she's the baby. And then I was growing up and decided this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to become.
Once you've got something as a goal, especially when you have to prove someone. And once, of course, the road is long sometimes. It is difficult. There are moments of crying. There are moments of, I want to give up. But then it's coming the other feeling like, no, I'm going to show you. And I absolutely love the moment when it comes to show and to be proud of you.
Here I am. I've done it.
And it is. And I'm pretty sure lots of people got that in their life and they have to praise themselves because it's not easy. I've been a few times through that. There were moments that some people probably they don't want particularly do something for you, but it's just their way of working. And from your point of view, it's like, shall I give up or shall I just show them? And once you get to the point you're showing you're already praised for who you are, it's just and accepted. It's just
it's great. Fantastic. And I have been really fortunate because I've had great jobs. I've never left any on bad terms. I've always got along really well with people, but I think sometimes it's just that breaking through, and you've got to kind of dig your heels in and stick with it, and that can be tough. And I think especially as well, as a parent, when you've got somebody else to be looking after. it feels like a lot of pressure. But yeah, I think that, I was hard on myself when I was younger, definitely. And I was always trying to prove I can.
I think
From
it's
another side, it's not bad, because if
No.
you don't have that, probably you will settle with whatever it is, and
Maybe.
you're not gonna make the step.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is a balance, because some people are more hard on them, some are less, but definitely you should have a drive to ask yourself to go the next step and the next step and the
I mean, I've
next
had
step.
it a few times as well, where someone said to me like, well, I think, with working after this client on this particular project, I don't think we're going to turn this into an order. We're not going to get. We don't think we're going to get that as a project, and that to me is red rag to a bull, because like once you've said
Yes,
that
I
to
am.
me, then I'm determined, to make sure. And at the end of the day, someone can look from the outside, looking down and going, well, we don't think this is a project we're going to succeed on. But at the end of the day, it's your relationship with that particular client,
Yes.
and that people to the person to person relationship is so vital, and that's what makes the difference. And obviously, your individual creativity and how you're able to communicate and understanding, and as you said earlier, is that listening point, and that's the critical, isn't
Yeah.
it? And then you can succeed, and then you can go right now. We can push after it,
Absolutely.
and then you can get there. You
And
really can.
people buy from people.
They do.
That's the truest thing. And I think as well, like when you're talking about projects, just because you didn't get that project this time, we sort of keep those relationships going, and there'll
do.
be another time when they'll think of you.
Never
Phone you
close
up
the
and
door.
say exactly.
Yeah, never
And
close
I've
the
never
door.
done that in any of my jobs. Hence, when I left Bose for 7 whole years, did lots of different things, and then I went back and worked another 7 years there. So I've never closed that door. I've always been, communicating with people and, had those relationships with different people from different
But
companies.
that's the best, and the best way is to leave a company when you just want to grow. And
Yes.
if you don't have the opportunity there, I'm pretty sure that it's never better to, of course, they gave you something, you gave them, and then move on to the next level. And you never know that at some point, probably you're going to meet again.
Exactly.
So it's...
Well, that's actually happened. I had a call from the retail shop that I used to work in, and this was many, many moons ago, early 20s. And he saw my post on LinkedIn and called me and actually said, this was a really nice thing. He said to me, "Oh, Dawn Robinson, MCIM." And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "You did the course then?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm very proud of you." It's like,
thank you.
how nice is that?
Yeah.
Like 20 odd years on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And obviously they
really
remember
nice.
you see,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
left your
Legacy.
footprint,
Yeah.
legacy
Footprint. Yeah. The
there,
footprint. Yeah.
which is...
But you don't realise that you do that, do you? Because
No.
you're just doing your daily
usually not.
thing.
And recently I listened, tell me if I'm wrong, was it... his name, not Steve Bartlett.
Simon
the other guy,
Sinek.
Simon Sinek. Was it about that why, and to ask the people around you what is about you, why they're your friends or whatever? And it's really interesting example. Was it him?
It was Simon Sinek. Yeah.
That it's amazing if you ask. Again, it's about the different perspective. To ask people to
Why I'm
say
your friend.
something about you,
Yeah.
why, but to keep asking, not just the basic thing, you're a good person, whatever. And at some point are coming things that you're surprised that you influenced them somehow.
Yeah.
You made something for their lives that you think like, did I really? Which is absolutely great, and I advise everybody to listen to Simon Sinek and to think we share, but we're going to share again this great video with fantastic question that you can ask your friends or people around you, and you'll be amazed of the answers you get. When we talk about people and teams, what was the best skills or you look when you were hiring people? What makes the good team together? A bit leadership.
So I once had a load of CVs came in, and it was for a junior position, and I literally was going, they went to a grammar, they didn't, they went to a grammar, they didn't. And then I thought, what are you doing? I didn't go to a grammar, push them all back up. So I think for me, it's really reading into who they are. And when you meet them, I think I have a gut feeling about people. So they may not check all the boxes in terms of the skills, but when they have that passion and when they have understanding, when they've really, looked into what the company does and what you want them to do, they, for me, are my people. So, I mean, it's hard to explain, but I think, I did an interview for someone when we worked together, and I just knew this is there was a lady before which I thought she was really great, but this one came in and I thought, you know what, she for me needs this break, and she's going to be great, and she was great. So yeah, I think it's really looking at, instead of looking at, I don't know, you got straight A's or you went to this school, it's really
that's just an
talking to
ability
that
to
person.
learn. That's an ability to learn, but it doesn't mean they've got a passion for the project.
No.
So I would say that the interview is equal important as the CV.
Absolutely.
And how someone will present and talk and show their interest.
Because you need them as well to integrate with the rest of your team. So if you've got someone that you think, oh no, these two are going to butt heads, I mean, she might be fantastic at the job, but you've also got a commitment to the other people that you work with, haven't you, to bring someone in that's actually going to add value and you're going to have some sort of connection with and be able to work well together.
How you found to, obviously, all these years when you were marketing manager and head of marketing, to work with people? Are you enjoying? Are you finding it a bit more challenging?
No, I like it. I've been quite fortunate in people that I've worked with because they've been really skilled and they've been really passionate. There was one lady who I'm still friends with, but she came for an interview and I said to the HR lady, she's great, but I don't like her. I don't like her. That's it. And she went, well, if you don't like her, you can't work with her. We went through the whole interview process and she said, have you picked one? And I said, no. I said, I keep coming back to the first one. She went, the one you don't like? I said, yeah. I keep coming back to her because something in me is saying that she's the one, but I don't like her. And I went home and I said to my husband, I've got this dilemma. And he said, well, why don't you like her? And I said, well, she basically said in 5 years she wants my job. She said this, she's this. And he said, so she's you when you were 23. And I went, what? And he went, she's you. That's what you did. And he went, you don't like her because
she's like,
she's you. And so I went in and I said, like, we've got to employ this girl. And we worked so well together. She was like literally my number one. We're still friends now. Yeah, we still keep in contact. She was great. But it was a really strange thing that, it was. And he was absolutely
But again,
right.
it was your intuition.
Yeah,
that's the
I
right
knew
person.
she was the right person, but I was like, yeah, there's something about you that's not right for me. Yeah,
you're like me.
Because you're like too much like me.
Let's talk a little bit about obviously we did mention your business, but where people can find you, and probably just to remind you once again what you're doing.
Okay.
Obviously I know about LinkedIn, but other than that,
so pretty much you can find me on LinkedIn, either Dawn Robinson MCIM or Out of Hours Marketing. There's pages there for both. At the moment I'm setting up my website, so clients have been coming really word of mouth, and my LinkedIn, people that know me or have been connected with me in some way previously. So you can find me there. What I specialize in is really, I'm a general marketer. So, any questions or anything that you have. So there's a sort of obviously a consultancy service where you can just ask me what you want, or I'm managing a client's social platforms for them, doing their posts, giving them reports, and we have a sort of monthly contract. I do strategy and planning because I think that people don't know the difference between the two. And, helping people, coaching people on how they can do that, working with them there. And also the audits, if somebody needs someone to come in and have a look and just, fresh set of eyes, they can still have a marketing department there. But obviously for me, it will just be helping them just come up with some new ideas and, sort of empower them again to, I think you can get stuck in a rut, can't you? Everyone can. It's very easy. Giving them a little bit of a push and a drive. So anything really. And obviously the flexibility is there, which is why, I'm
which
out
is
of
great.
hours.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
out of
nice.
hours is
Brilliant.
great. But yeah, for lots of the things that you're doing, how you mentioned, people are busy usually,
Yes.
and yeah, if you
They
can't
haven't got time
reach
to do that.
to someone a bit later, or at least to contact them for a quick chat, I think
Yeah.
this give great
Exactly.
opportunities.
Because obviously, for any business owner, that business is number one. And you're doing that day to day. You're doing the day to day bits and pieces. So yeah, sometimes the marketing, is a second thought, and you maybe just need some advice on that when you're finished your day to day.
What are the next goals? Have you got them?
Oh, I don't know if I've got any next goals. Obviously, I want to be chartered.
Yeah.
That's for me. I want to finish the courses that I'm on. And I think I would really like to go into kind of some sort of business coaching.
Okay.
That really interests me.
I think
And I
you are
think,
quite good fit for that because
Thank
all
you.
this experience and knowledge, it's great to be passed on.
yeah,
as
I
we
think some
say.
people just need an extra push. They need someone to listen to them, to go, okay, what you're doing here is great. But actually, let's look at this area because this is the big one, and how are we going to work towards that? When you said earlier about that sort of next step on the ladder, the one
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
I actually read a book last weekend called The One Thing, and it really inspired me. And it was basically about having that long-term goal and objective and how you're going to get there, and how people fail because they go, got to get a website, got to get socials out, do this, all of these things. So they do all of these things quite badly,
And forget about the
then
core.
and then think, okay, I've messed up. I wasn't any good at that. When actually, he says, wake up in the morning, and it could be anything, it could be business. What's the one thing I can do today for my business? For me today, it's accepting your invitation and coming here. What's the one thing you can do for your mental health? I did a cold tub this morning. What's the one thing you can do for fitness? And it's those things. So it's just one thing, and then
Build up to the level.
then
Because we
tomorrow's
get
the
in
next
that,
thing.
I'm a great example that I want to do 105 things
Yes.
at once, and after that you feel at the end of the day, oh, I fail in everything.
Yeah.
Where ideally you didn't fail, but because you put your energy to so many different
Exactly.
places,
I've
you
definitely
can't
been there.
see.
I would write lists for myself, personally and professionally, write lists. And they're completely unachievable lists, really. These are all the things I want to do. And I tick off, maybe I tick off 6 out of 10, but I feel like I failed today. So then I started scrapping my list, and then I start writing down what I've done. So then I can say, again, that mindset
It's a higher
thing.
level of achievement.
Yeah, look what I've done today instead of look what I haven't done today.
Talking about writing, are you having a journal? Are you doing this? Are you writing every day or trying to?
I try and do gratitudes every day,
Okay.
every morning.
Because mine's are on mind. I'm just telling them. I'm not writing them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. When I read something and I get in the moment, oh yeah, I have to get back. Open the book, start writing for a
Start
few
writing.
days. But yeah, usually I've got this morning
Yeah.
attitude that is about
I do.
gratitude.
Yeah, I do gratitudes because I find that easier than the
Writing.
journaling. Yeah. But again, as well, I'm always writing things. So when I read this book, I was actually on holiday, and it was giving me so many ideas. So I'm sitting with a pad writing,
about
writing,
ideas.
writing things down, writing some content ideas down.
Some people are having ideas any time of the
All
day,
the
and he's
time.
always writing his ideas.
But you know what? It's one of the things that's interesting when you say about mentoring as well. And Mary knows, obviously, I've done quite a lot of training courses recently. One of the things when you reach out and start doing training courses, that you actually, it takes you to the next level. So you know all your skill sets, you know all about, I mean, in my case, about the equipment. But when you're doing a training course and you're putting together a training course in that preparation, so when you're leading a group, you then become the master, because that takes you to that level to master everything about it. Because as soon as you've got a question from the audience and from the people you're training, they are looking to you for that answer.
Yeah.
And you have to. So you've done all the research to make sure. I mean, in my case, it was sort of like, okay, I know all this about all our equipment, but there was some things I thought, I've never read that in the manual. I've never read that. So like, I sort of, you do that extra level of work
Yeah.
that no one else has probably done, because you've got to have the answer to the detail. And that's what makes you to the master of that level. And I think, once you do the mentoring side and you're teaching, then all of a sudden it suddenly becomes really clear. and that's almost the top level, I was thinking, once you're doing that sort of
Yeah.
situation.
For Dawn, there
Yeah.
will be another top after that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
sure there will, yeah.
But I
I'm
like
calming
this
down.
vibe. No, I like this vibe, and I like that. I was always like this. People can't stop on one place. I think we have to try, at
Yeah.
least to try.
Well, this is kind of what I said this year. So we got to December last year, and I said, right, next year in January, I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm going to say that I'm going to start working for myself, and I'm going to do this company. And it got to like the 31st of January, and I still hadn't. And I was like, right, I have to do this because this is what I'd written. I'd written down some goals for the year. I have to do this. I have to put a post out. And then my son phoned me and he said, I'm really proud of you. So I was like, right. So now I've put one out. I have to keep going. But if this doesn't, for any reason, things change, it doesn't work out for me, or I choose to another path, I did what I said I was going to do.
I'm sure it will work.
And that's
I'm sure it will work.
Of course, we will.
If anyone needs out of hours help, then Dawn's the lady.
Yeah, I'm your person.
Yeah.
You are definitely.
Yeah.
I would say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We really enjoy. We learn a lot about you, marketing, and in general. Great. Thanks for your time, and I'm sure we're gonna meet again. And
I hope so.
we're gonna.
It's been really nice to see you
hopefully
again.
we'll do some work together as well. Because
so.
you talking about a few bits. Catch me. Yeah, we'll share ideas lately.
Lovely.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We hope you've really enjoyed the podcast. And please do, if you're following on YouTube, please do like the video. And if you would subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify, again, we'd ask you if you would follow us on Spotify. Thank you very much for listening today. And thank you for Dawn. And thank you, Mary, helping me today. And also a big thank you to Hempstead House for hosting us today here at the lovely hotel down in Sittingbourne. Thanks a lot.
Never stop dreaming big.